and welcome to another episode of your Bish Therapist podcast. And today I am so happy to have Lyndsay and Brady back from Recap Rodeo. Hi, friends.
Hi, Bish Nation. We're back.
Yes, we're allowed back.
Are you kidding?
Every time.
Yes, anytime we're allowed back on a podcast, we're like, us.
Bish Nation loves you. Like, Patreon loves you.
Sorry.
My dog Rat was just saying she loves Bish Nation too.
Yes, she does.
What kind of dog is Rat?
Rat is her mom is a Dachshund and her dad is a Havanese poodle. So she's like a cream-colored, wire-haired Dachshund. She's perfect
my
in
gosh.
every single way.
What a little cutie.
Yeah, I know. She's perfect. I would pick her up, but now she's roamed away.
I'm trying to get her up here. She is very cute.
But yeah, in all seriousness, people are obsessed with you. And, you know, I just love that when we podcast together, we just have so much fun. And so I was like, you guys, we have to do this again sooner than anticipated. So here you are.
Yes, we are always down to chat all things. So we are so happy to be back.
Yes, thank you.
Today, we're going to start by talking some Bravo breaking news. And then we're going to get into Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, the finale, the reunion part 1, and maybe a little bit of Beverly Hills Southern I don't know, TBD, y'all. I love to just like have a plan, but then we get started, we see where it goes, and then the plan lays itself out. That's my kind of plan. So let's get into it, y'all. On Watch What Happens Live, Andy Cohen announced the Real Housewives Ultimate Road Trip cast, which is Portia Williams, Vicki Gunvalson, Giselle Bryant, Teresa Giudice, Kyle Richards, Lisa Barlow, and Countess Luann. What do you all think of this group?
Listen, when we assemble these women like the Avengers and we get a ragtag group of our favorite ladies from each city, I think magic can happen. And so I pray that magic does happen with this. Because, like, the idea of Luann and Portia, like, being drunk together, I don't know, like, my nipples get a little hard just thinking about that. Like, that just sounds like a delightful evening of television, right? Like,
yeah.
I want to get off work, I want to hate my life, and then I want to turn on and see Portia and Luann, like, drunk together. Like, that is so fun. The only wet blanket in there is Kyle. I'm kind of like, we could have picked, like, I don't know. I would have loved to see Dorit maybe or Rachel Zoe. I don't know, but like they gotta bend the knee to Kyle and give her the honor, I guess.
See, Brady, I had the exact same thought because Portia on Watch What Happens Live, they said Portia would be on it, and I was like, I'm all for that. Then as they were going through it, I think they then announced Vicki first, and I was like, okay, I'm, Vicki's back on Bravo, whatever. And then I think it was like Luann was announced. I said, okay. As soon as they said Kyle, I was like, oh, we're not getting shit.
Yeah.
I was like, we're not getting shit. I was like so annoyed with that. But then like Lisa, I was like, okay, Giselle, okay, Teresa. I also know there's going to be so many side characters. Like it was announced Nene Leakes is going to be a part of it. So then I'm like, let's freaking go. So I'm excited for all parts of it. So just the Kyle part, because we have so many other parts to focus on, Kyle isn't going to ruin it for me, but I was kind of like, wah, wah, when she was announced, because she's going to give us nothing. Just like Beverly Hills this season, give us nothing.
Well, and here's the thing that is funny. I just posted about Beverly Hills. I totally hear everyone who's saying Beverly Hills is giving nothing, but for me, it's giving everything. There is so much room for psychological interpretation with Sutton. The defense
she's on a tear this season.
She is on a tear of psychological defensive-ness. It's like between the projection and the displacement and all of these things, which if we have time, I'll talk a little bit about. I was actually had so many notes last night for Beverly Hills, but that's just because of what I do. If I don't like it as a fan, as someone who like looks at the underpinnings, I find it interesting. But here's what bothers me about this road trip thing. First of all, I feel how you feel about Kyle, but with Lisa Barlow. I'm like, why are we giving this person a continued platform when she cannot be authentic or real or whatever? I mean, we got a little bit of authenticity in the finale, I feel, with Lisa, like just a smidge. But that annoyed me. And the other thing that annoyed me is why no Miami? Where is the Miami representation?
Yeah. I saw a lot of people call that out.
Are Alexia or Marisol?
Alexia was on a girls trip with Marisol and they were kind of duds on it.
Gertie?
The girls trip that they were on? Now, Gertie, I can get behind. Now you're speaking my language.
See?
But I feel like they would pick Alexia or Marisol just because they're like the OGs of that cast.
OGs.
But and they've been on a girls trip and they're not that great.
I mean, that is a great point, Brady, because I did watch that. I liked that girls trip. Like I do like them. But I understand what you're saying. Like it wasn't anything new or different. It was like their same shtick, their same dynamic, just kind of like in a different setting. But Gertie, I think, deserved maybe a spot.
Yeah.
And I don't love how I feel like Miami is like the ugly stepsister of the Housewives franchise.
Yeah.
And I don't love it because I feel like A, they deserve better, and B, it's one of the few actually good franchises. So maybe let's represent it.
Yeah.
I do have a question for both of you. I understand your hesitance with like Lisa Barlow. However, do you think because none of the other Salt Lake City girls are on this cast, could we maybe see a different side or more vulnerable side? Like I could see maybe Nene and Angie K talking and Nene maybe pulling out some stuff of Lisa. Like I'm excited to maybe see her with a different group of girls. I do think the Salt Lake City girls are just trying to all just tear each other apart right now, but then also Kiki after. It's so fun. So I'm actually curious, what is she going to be like with these girls? Is she going to up and up a little bit? Or is she just going to be her Lisa Barlow self, which more likely would be the case, but I'm open to seeing if we will see a different Lisa.
Because she hasn't been on a girls trip, has she?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I will be... that is the only saving grace behind Lisa Barlow, because I share that opinion. Like, she's not going to give us anything. She's not any more open or vulnerable at the reunion so far. Like, we're just going to get the same thing. But maybe out of her comfort zone, she might be a little different.
Listen,
but
but I love the reframe. And yeah, you're right. Now I kind of see it from that different perspective, because truly what I know about like working in groups and different dynamics is that like the group dynamic can change behavior so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you're right. I mean, being away from her Salt Lake people, which they do kind of have this odd commitment this season to like tear each other down and then like, have a kiki. It almost feels like they're trying too hard to be like Potomac or Atlanta. They're like forcing this different narrative that they want for their show. And I feel like it's giving audiences like we're our neck is breaking. We're just like,
whiplash.
What's going on? Yeah. I mean, basically. Yeah.
And you know what? And I could try to have this perspective from Kyle too, right? Because Kyle, this is also, I think she's the only Beverly Hills person. So I'm interested to see her in this dynamic as well. So they haven't started filming yet, right?
Well, what I heard was that Nene's part was already filmed. I think Nene is the first stop on this tour, and her spot was already filmed. And I have to say, when I heard that Nene was coming back, I couldn't have been more shocked, because I thought to myself, this is the only human on Bravo who could sue Bravo and then be welcomed back with open arms.
Yeah.
Like, who else? Who else but Nene Leakes could Andy forgive and forget? Could the network be like, well, you tried to sue us, but welcome? I never thought I'd see the day, but I am excited, because for me, I was thinking about this yesterday, is that the greatest seasons of Housewives to me includes Atlanta, the beginning.
Yes.
Like, to me, Atlanta season 1 was up there with like Roni, was up there with OC, the original greats. And so I speak in Nene-isms, bloop. Right. I use that bloop all the time. So I'm so interested.
I love
I'm gonna get you a home. But you're right. Like I will say, like, the Real Housewives franchise itself is built partially on Nini's back. Absolutely,
For sure.
100%. And anyone who says differently is just wrong.
For sure. No, you're right.
So it is nice that they are giving her this respect. I do wonder what it's going to look like on camera. I'm excited to see her back on my screen, but yeah, I think it's nice that they gave her that respect because they don't do that with a lot of them. A lot of the women.
Anyone who sued Bravo, I don't think they do that with anybody.
They go to New York and meet up with Bethany.
Yeah, well, it's like we're never going to see Bethany. Although I don't think Bethany technically has ever sued Bravo, but she's been a part of like saying shit and also like being with lawyers who they then sue Bravo, you know.
Oh, Bethany set those
Leah
bridges
and Bethany.
Fire. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Bethany was just like one of the greatest housewives of all time and just like pulled a Michael Rappaport and just completely was like, hate me, y'all. Hate me. And we're like, okay, what?
Please,
anyway.
I will, I'd love to hate Michael Rappaport.
No. I know. And for those of you who I haven't even watched Traitors, but I've heard so much about Michael Rappaport being so obnoxious. And like, that's his shtick too. I think I am going to tune in. It's just like too much TV for me. It's so much. So what do you all think of Teresa coming back onto our screens? Lyndsay's eyes, she was just like,
Hey,
I'm always scared, guys. I'm terrified to talk about Jersey. Like,
why?
it's just one franchise where I have not dove my toes into awe because I think the fandom is like they are so intense about Jersey and the Melissa and the Teresa of it all. So I'm always like terrified to talk about it.
Well, then
Brady,
I will say,
share your thoughts.
I'm excited to see Teresa back. I mean, she is our OG, like dumb delusional lady. Like it creates the most entertaining television, honestly. Like her making a cookbook and not knowing how to cook anything is so funny to me. I think her chaos that she'll bring, kind of her personality, I think will be a welcome addition to the group. I think it'll keep things fun and entertaining. Now, the plus side is Melissa isn't there, so there's not that like annoying toxicity going on. I think Teresa outside of the New Jersey group is actually pretty fun to watch on TV.
Yeah. And that's another person, like speaking of the whole like shift of dynamics, Teresa, when she's not with her Jersey crew, she just seems like a lovely person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then she gets around a camera and the ladies and it's like, hold my beer. I'm going to be so toxic.
It's like Teresa on Next Gen NYC where she just popped up for a second and she was a delightful addition to the scene where she was having lunch. She like pointed out the cameraman. She was just being cute and funny. So hopefully that's the Teresa we get on this.
She was like that on Traitors too. She was like, you just see like, oh, Teresa, your little dumb self.
That's mean, but it's kind of true.
I just like want to like pet her. Like, it's okay, Teresa.
Wait, what is that? Oh, what do they say in this? Bless your heart.
Yes, bless your heart.
Bless your
That's
heart.
the way my great grandma used to tell me I was dumb. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, that's Southern for you're an idiot and I hate you. Bless your heart, which is wild. It's like, that's wild. I hate you, bless your heart. Yeah, that's, I'm sorry if I'm mischaracterizing it, but that's what I hear. But so also what's interesting about the Teresa stuff, and Lyndsay, I totally understand your hesitance because
your fear.
Because it's legit. Like, I think what ended up happening was Jersey got in too deep with the Bravo fandom and content creators. And then we had pages doing their bidding. And it was like one of those odd things that happened with the franchise where it trickled down, kind of like OC, where they're using too many people in the Bravo sphere that it's not appropriate to use. And then it just like makes the whole fandom very muddy. But what I've seen is that Teresa, Melissa, and Joe have, once cameras went down and they all realized that they're not magic and that they're just humans, they're mere mortals, and they're not famous anymore, it helped them kind of really come back together. And so what I'm interested in seeing is like, where is Teresa at now psychologically? Like, is she in a better space? Is she truly in a better space with them? Is she going to say something snarky about Melissa, or is the change real? That's the kind of stuff that I'm interested in looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope the like after I'm a New Jersey stan. Like when I was literally like 13, it premiered. I don't know how old I was, but I remember being like a young teenager watching New Jersey like all the time. I love that fucking show.
Brady's a baby.
So like, I would love for Teresa to come back on this and say nice things about Melissa and genuinely mean it and like see the actual change that you were talking about. Because that would honestly, that would bring me 180 on Teresa, you know, seeing any actual change.
I think for me, Jersey was I certainly wasn't 13. I'm pretty sure I was out of grad school, Brady. Thanks for making me feel elderly.
No, I think I under-exaggerated, to be honest.
He loves
but either way, Jersey was like my initial like comfort show. I would watch it over and over. I've seen every episode so many times. I loved the seasons with like Caroline and Jacqueline.
Those first like 4 seasons are incredible.
So
also, I looked it up. I was 15. I'm so young.
Brady.
Suitable men. I'm so young.
We have a lot of
you, Melissa.
gays who love me. But shout out, if you're a gay man, hit up Brady and let me know because we want to bring you into the fold. We're trying to get Brady some companionship.
Young friend to watch New Jersey with.
Your bish therapist hookups.
Oh my God. Your bish matchmaker.
No, matchmaker works.
Saying the title of your podcast gives me like a speech impediment. It's a problem.
You and everybody else, so please don't worry about it. But yeah, maybe bish matchmaking, that is hard to say. Maybe that is in the cards. Maybe that could be a lane we go down. Right. Speaking of that, do you do vision boards?
I never have. I like the idea of them.
Can I say this year, I think I've been the closest I've ever been to actually making one, but I haven't. But I watched some like one of my people I like to watch her vlog, she made one and I was like, this seems like a delightful activity to do. But then like the idea of actually doing the activity is more hard than the idea of doing the activity. So
well, the reason I ask is because Caitlin Marshall was on the show for Besties by Caitlin, and she talked about like she really believes in doing the vision board, and like this year everything that she put on it so far has come to fruition. And I was like, damn, A, good for you. And B, I'm just like, that's really interesting. But Brady, I'm kind of like you, where I'm in what I would call like the contemplation stage of change, where I'm like thinking about it, but I'm not doing it yet. So there hasn't been any action, but it's an interesting concept. So
I live in the contemplation stage on basically anything in my life. So you'll find me there with my...
Honestly, with how 2026 is going in the world, I'm like, I have no vision.
See, I know. But you know, that's why we need our entertainment, right? Because the world is in such a fucking horrifying place that it's like, we need to find a happy medium, in my opinion, between like, we can't totally disengage, but we do have to preserve our peace. And so for me, that's like where holding up this like Real Housewives Ultimate Road Trip is just giving me hope, because I'm like, okay, these are the 7. We're going to see, like Andy said, they're doing like 60 different Bravo labs, 60 different people.
Dang, that's so many.
That's a lot. There have to be some big groups in there. That's why.
Well, you would think either that or I'm like, well, is this road trip lasting a year? What is happening?
Is this 365 days?
Maybe they're going to go, this is just what popped in my head. Maybe they're going to go to Miami as one of the stops and visit with all the Miami houses.
Probably.
They're filming Miami right now, and then that'll be a crossover episode. And integration. Peacock, call me. Hello.
That would be good.
Brady, that is
Maybe
genius.
That's what's gonna happen.
And I hope that you're right, because I don't, it's like that loving part of me that doesn't want anyone to feel left out, which I know that it's like not everything is meant for all of us all at the same time, right? I understand that. But at the same time, I just like, I love my Miami ladies. Gertie is my absolute favorite.
I do wish, Bravo, I do think you make a good point, because I mean, I love Luann, but it's like they have her number on speed dial. Like she is on she always is like the representation for New York, because like she's going to come. But I do kind of wish they would try to switch it up a little bit, because I think just to see.
Who Ramona.
No, I'm not even
Ramona.
saying from Roni. I'm saying take
okay.
Gertie, you know what I mean? Bring Gertie in from it. Like, if you don't bring anyone
Like,
But
from
then if they
try
left New
somebody
York
else.
out,
Yeah.
let's just try something different. I know Luann is
Right.
always there and she's always going to give us something, but it would be interesting if they like try to be a little different sometimes. But
is there anyone from a past New Jersey cast that hasn't burnt their bridges or has a negative
with Roni or New Jersey?
Roni from old Roni? Maybe Carol.
Oh, well, yeah, she's now back. Well, her and Andy are
Oh,
good
But they
now,
were
right?
fighting. See, it's like every old Roni person has got Ramona's.
Yeah.
Like, we're not putting her back on.
Ramona's no.
Sonia.
Alex was on the girls' trip that we'll never see.
Alex, yes. The
Which
girls trip we'll never see.
I was
swear to
thinking
God, just
about.
release it. Give it to me.
I'm so mad at Brandy Glanville I'm like, you wasted everyone's time, resources, whatever. It just makes me so mad what happened. But like, you're right. In terms of Roni, there's not a lot of like other people. Like if you're going to go with an OG, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing. Speaking of OGs, let's pivot to Karen. Not only is coming back for reunion part 1 of Potomac, but she was given first chair. What do you all think of that?
I mean, I think it's just because we saw in the preview for Potomac, I'm guessing the last episode will be like that one-on-one we kind of saw a preview of with Andy talking to Karen. Here's the thing. I'm interested to see what Karen has to say because, she did do her time. I'm very curious what language she's going to use now. Is she going to take some accountability? Is she going to be more honest about her alcohol? I'm very curious. So I'm not surprised with her being at the reunion and getting first chair just because I think a conversation needs to happen. I'm curious how she will talk with the other women because I'm sure the other women will bring up stuff. I am just like, the best word I can use is curious because are we going to see a different Karen? Because Karen is someone who she's very, very, very lucky that she did not kill herself or someone else. So now you have the time to actually make that change because you're not going to get it again. Like you're just not going to.
I agree. And to me, when it comes to life and death situations, which addiction is and driving intoxicated is, I agree with you. I have no tolerance for any sort of like trying to escape accountability or wiggle room. So Lyndsay, you saying you're looking forward to hearing her language, I fully agree with that. I can tell, not just me, like it doesn't take a therapist to be able to tell with Karen when she's taking accountability or not. In fact, I've really never seen Karen really truly take accountability. So for me, I am happy to cheer someone on in recovery that's taking ownership. I am not happy to do that for someone who's trying to blow smoke up our asses and is putting people and public safety in danger. I'm not here for that.
Yeah. I think that's definitely what my opinion will like hinge on too, is if in that 101 we see a different Karen who's taking accountability, recognizing her impact of what could have happened and what did happen, I'm interested to see how she navigates that conversation. And if she navigates it well and we see a different side of her, hell yeah, I'm so fucking excited that, this horrible thing going to jail is horrible for anyone, no matter if you deserve it or not. Like, hopefully this horrible thing could have been the change that she needed, like we all hoped for. Now, if she doesn't take accountability, I'm going to be really annoyed that she's first chair at the reunion, but we'll see. But they always, Potomac also feels very much like one of those franchises where like that first chair means something to those ladies.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And so I also think it's kind of like, well, she is Karen. Like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, she is Karen Huger. So she's going to be in that first chair, I guess.
I have a real issue these days with, I don't want to support really crappy behavior. I think that's literally where I've been with, for example, like when it comes to Mary Cosby and the stuff with the docuseries. Caitlin Marshall talked about some of the issues with the docuseries. They really didn't do a lot of things right. They used content creator stuff without permission. And that gave me a whole other perspective on it. But I think at the end of the day, for me, it's just about like, I don't want to be supporting someone with any of my time, energy, resources, whatever, that is hurting other people or doing really underhanded things.
Yeah.
And I think that we all kind of like in Bish Nation, we all feel the same way.
Yeah.
There's other fandoms that they're not there, but like we're just kind of an empathetic group of folks.
Well, and it's almost like being the first chair. It's like, I don't want to put Karen on a pedestal right now. I
Right.
want to be able. So it's almost like, man, I wish we could humble Karen a little bit.
Put her at the end.
put her in the middle, put her somewhere, and then,
Boom.
check in. So that would have been really interesting to see. But they obviously didn't do that. So I just have to frame it as like, okay, I'm going into this conversation. My ears are open. What do you have to say, Karen? And how great would it be if she was vulnerable and honest? And then if she came back on the show, like actually seeing someone navigate that and like them like actually showing it laid out, like show me go to meetings, show me go to therapy, like give that. No, I know. But how
Sorry,
amazing.
there's something about a meeting that just doesn't.
But like, how
me
amazing would that be to actually see on Potomac, on any of the like franchises? So I am cautiously being open about it, but we shall see. I also hope, I'm curious how Andy will also, navigate the conversation as well. Because I don't feel like Andy always is best at these kind of conversations. So we shall see.
And, I think the only downside with Andy, which I can't even fault him for this, but when you start to have relationships with the people that you're asking questions to, it informs your perspective, right? It changes, like, I'm not going to you guys are my friends. I'm not going to question you as hard or maybe as sharply as I would question someone else. So I think that's just part of him being human.
Yeah.
But I fully agree. Optimistic. Let's see what she does with it. But I think you said something, humility, which is like in recovery, humility is probably one of the most important things to achieve, which is just like, who am I? What am I doing? And let me get humble and accountable and like own my stuff. I think that would be really powerful to show that, but I don't know if Karen's capable. So we're going to find out a lot, I guess, is either by what she says, what she doesn't say, what Andy says, what he doesn't say. It's going to tell us a lot either way. So I'm excited to talk about it.
I know. I know I said too, like it would be really interesting to see her if she does take accountability on the show, but I also would respect even more if she also still took more time because she is so early on into whatever she has identified with. Like that would be, I'd be like, okay, I feel like she'd be taking it seriously because I can imagine, getting out of jail for, DUIs and having some sort of relationship with alcohol, coming back to a Real Housewives show. There's going to be temptation. Also, like the Potomac ladies, they like to poke fun. I don't know if that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I would be able to handle that. So I'll be curious if maybe, I don't know. I actually would like to maybe see her take space too. I want it all. I don't know.
No, I mean, but we do at the end of the day, we love these women and I do want to see Karen win and I want to see her thrive. And I do agree that like being in recovery and being a housewife is going to be triggering as shit because no one's going to not drink. They're still going to go to wineries and do all these things. And obviously
tell
being
your husband's cheating on you.
Right. Yeah. They're not going to be like, oh, let me not trigger Karen. They're going to be like, I'm going to trigger you and I hope you relapse. It's like, I don't know. It's so crazy. So I always, obviously we all love to see like a great storyline with like mental health, addiction, things like that. So yeah, I guess, TBD.
Yeah.
But the one thing I wanted to bring up quickly too, before we get to the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about, which is Salt Lake City, is Brady brought up the Bravo Docket, did a really wonderful podcast. Now, I will say, Lyndsay and I, we have not listened to it yet. I am planning on it. However, Brady, could you give just your perspective, what you heard? Because you were saying some things before we started recording that was really interesting to me.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, when I was listening to this podcast, I was like, oh, this is perfect for Melissa and Lyndsay because like it created so much empathy in me for Britani that, I already had some empathy for her, but then also saw how she navigates things and was kind of like, well, sometimes you ask for it too. But this has shown me how, like, so basically what happened was she's getting divorced from her ex-husband, who I think was the man she married after the father of her kids. And in this relationship, he was extremely controlling. He slowly pushed her out of all finances. So he used a lot of tactics to get her, what's the word for it when you're like making someone alone?
Isolate?
Oh,
Yes, thank you.
isolation.
He was his goal, I think, was isolation for her and complete control over her. There were like rules that he had. She like had to work out every day. She had to dress this way. She had to wear her hair a certain way. Anytime she got her hair or nails done, she needed to run any changes by him. Very much controlling. There was a whiteboard in their house where he would write down her like when she broke the rules and what she did.
Okay, Abby Lee Miller.
Yeah, there was a pyramid. No, I'm just kidding.
She literally did that on Dance Mom. Sorry, I had to say it.
Which is why I've never watched, because Abby, I cannot stand that woman. Cannot
Melissa, if
stand
you ever
her.
want to make $1 billion, make a paid series of you breaking down
Dance
moms with your knowledge.
Yes.
I swear to God, people would. Oh my God, like put it on the TV network because I want to see that because it would be insane. But anyways, so it was just, he was very controlling. He didn't allow her to communicate with her friends or her family. So it really made a lot of the things we've heard from her child make more sense. Now, like, I don't know, like, I think there's ways around stuff. I don't know. But either way, it created a lot of understanding for me for why she did the thing she did. It also kind of, seeing how much of a people pleaser she is too, helps me kind of empathize with how she got trapped in this as well. Because you see her people pleasing tendencies even on the reunion, like when she came out and she's like, you can tell she's just a little kid trying to make the people around her happy.
Literally, she's like a child who just wants to be loved. Because the fact of, I always say this, probably every podcast, is that the one need that we all have is the need for belonging and love. Period. Yeah. And, if you're raised in a dynamic, whether it's because of the church or because of your family dynamic or cultural dynamics, whatever, and you're not getting that, you're going to seek that in ways that we feel we deserve. And that's how a lot of people end up in domestic violence situations, because we don't believe that we are good enough, we're valuable, we're worthy. And then we become vulnerable, right, to these tactics that these people use. Like you said, the isolation, the criticism. Brady, let me ask you a question. The Bravo Docket, did it look at old court cases, or was Britani a guest? How was this information coming to us?
It was through court cases. So all those allegations were through legal filings. So the divorce itself was separate from this lawsuit. What she's seeking, I think, $2.5 million in damages from him for intentional infliction of emotional damage, I think was the like official thing.
Okay.
And they did talk about the strategy of keeping this separate from the divorce as far as legal filings, because I think it would have muddied the divorce more. But yeah, so it was a separate thing. She was suing for damages. And then they actually read his response, his legal response, his filing back, where a lot of it, you guys, was him kind of saying, well, yes, that is true. There was a whiteboard, but this, like, changing the context of it, which was really strange that he's admitting to these things and these rules and these tactics that he's done, but then saying, but that's not what it was.
We had to do the whiteboard. She was making mistakes.
Yeah, she was acting out. I mean, she needed a sticker chart.
It wasn't a whiteboard. It was actually a notebook.
No, when you guys listen to it, it's insane. Even the Bravo Docket lady, Ceci and Angela, they're like, why would he say this? Did he write this himself?
I can tell you why.
It was submitted by a lawyer. Did the lawyer let him write it? Like, they were just
I can tell you why. Men like this can say whatever they want and get right away with it. So they don't mind saying the truth because they're so used to always spinning it and manipulating it beyond what is truth that it shows his level of narcissism, his probable lack of empathy, his probable presentation of predatory, abusive behaviors. I'm pulling no punches at this point because I just have no tolerance for people like this.
Yeah.
None. And so, men like this, they'll just like shout it from the rooftops because they're like, well, everyone's going to listen to me. I'm just a white guy, just like crushing it over here. And everyone's believing what I'm saying. And it's like,
Yeah. And didn't you say too, he had like a expectation for like a sex schedule?
Oh yeah. No, not even a schedule. Whenever he wanted it on demand. No.
That is
Well, that's called sexual assault.
Yes.
That's
No,
sexual
literally.
assault. That's not a sex life. That is
No.
having the person that you're partnered with be like a sex slave. That's what that means.
Literally.
Yeah. It created an understanding of kind of a lot of her behavior. I don't know. It seemed really fucked up what she went through. It seemed bad.
Well, and it makes sense. And we've said this before as far as like, Melissa, I've heard you say this before. We've talked about it too. Like, it is interesting with Brittany and her daughters and how her daughter, Olivia, has described like this perfect mother, this very involved mother. And then something switched. And it seems to be like that, you know, when she got remarried, she was in this relationship. Sounds like he very much tried to isolate her. And I think he had kids on like his like coming into the marriage. So I think
Brittany has 5 kids.
Okay. I think
something.
So I think he very much tried to isolate her and also just like be just a part of his family and not really try to integrate everyone. And so these are the kind of like family dynamics that I'm just like, when I worked in the mental health field, I'm fascinated by, because you have all these components of like, I have empathy for Brittany, but then I also have empathy for the daughter, right? Because she was a kid in this choice. She had no choice. So she just sees her mom, who while she can understand, okay, my mom, and I've had this before, like, okay, my mom was in this cycle of abuse. However, I wasn't protected and my mom changed and I didn't get my mom. And I think Brittany is also still navigating of like, yeah, but this person did this to me. It's his fault. 100%. I get that. But you also have to balance of like, my kid is coming to me and they're hurt by my actions. How can I navigate, like, not, you know, in this moment, it doesn't help me just putting the blame on him for her.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's so well said, Lyndsay, because the toughest part sometimes about being a survivor is having to come to terms with how what we've done to survive, how that's hurt people we love.
Yes.
And that is a very hard space to be. I feel for Brittany. I feel for her daughters. I feel for, you know, everyone in the situation, because domestic abusers, let me be clear, they know exactly what they're doing. It's like they play out of like the piece of shit handbook. Yeah. And I appreciate, Brady, you sharing that. And this is something that I'm going to listen myself and I'm going to talk about it too. But I just thought your insights were too good to not, you know, talk a little bit about at least. Because one thing I wrote was, with Brittany and her like emotional support bear, I was like, that thing needs to be locked up with the Annabelle doll because I think it's possessed.
It does. It is. You know what? You guys bring
and people were so mad at me. I was like, I'm sorry, but that's funny.
It kept going too. Funny. I was like, did they put a whole hard drive in this bear? He's talking for 30 seconds. It's like, I love you. No matter what happens on the show, no matter what you say, no matter, like, there were so many like, I don't know.
Jared was actually wild. In the bear. He's just at the reunion. He's possessed it like the Chucky doll. You guys, you brought up such a good point about Brittany too, because I know we talk about people pleasing with her. And I do see that what's even more interesting though with her, she's people pleasing, but also she will switch and try to poke at people. Yeah. I think that's because she's trying to see, will you still love me? I'm going to poke a little. I'm going to say this. Will they still love me? And as someone who may have used to do that, I get it.
Well, the saying is, we spot it, we got it, right? We recognize things that we do ourselves.
Yeah,
and
just like she is. Yeah. We talked about this on Recap Radio. She pesters a lot. And it's like, I think she's trying to like kind of test limits a little bit. And I don't think she realizes that she like does that. And so, I don't know, she's an interesting one for sure.
And I also think that's a really astute observation. I agree with that. And in addition, what I would say is she does have this very provocative part of her where it's like Angie. She turns sour real fast. Oh, they're like Sour Patch Kids,
Sour
right?
Patch Kids.
Sweet or sour, and then they'll chop your head right off. But with Brittany also, I think part of it is that when I have had the honor of treating women leaving domestic abuse relationships, one thing that will start to happen is once you find your voice, you really want to use it. But then sometimes it can be used in ways that like don't serve you. You know, in a way, I think that's almost Brittany's way of taking control back and saying, well, like, you hurt me. And so now in response to being hurt, this is what I'm going to do, because she doesn't know how to manage that effectively and still communicate, which like, fair enough. That's just part of being human going through this process. And I hope for her sake and her children's sake, most importantly, she finds her way. But let's talk about, first of all, the finale of Salt Lake City, that play. I was like, whoever did this, whoever had the idea, created it, enacted it, wrote it, all of these people, to me, it was absolute chef's kiss. I've never seen a better like episode, I feel like, of television, because for me, it was like these truth bombs being said in very eloquent, well-written ways, but they were such truth bombs. And then watching each of the women's faces. And here's the thing, like, as a therapist, sometimes you have to say things to people that it breaks through some of their perception and it kind of like rocks their world a bit. And so I recognize that face. Those faces of like Heather being like, oh shit, they got my number. And then Bronwyn being like, yep, they got mine too. And each woman, it was like dominoes. They just went down.
Literally.
See,
what did you all think?
I'm not gonna lie.
Don't lie.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest, because I said on Recap Radio. I do think a part of it, I'm gonna be honest, I hated the play aspect. I have to say it. Because
I knew this, and when you were talking about how much you loved it, I was like, oh my God, yay.
Because here's a part of it. This is where my literal brain comes in.
Yeah.
I tuned out of it so much because it wasn't a fucking play. It was a woman just speaking out of... I wanted actresses. I wanted costume changes. I wanted a performance. Instead, I got basically like slam poetry, just like yelled at me for 30 minutes with interpretive dance. So I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I should probably watch it because I wasn't watching the women's faces because I was pissed I wasn't watching the play. I was like, here we go, Hamlet, where are you?
Yeah.
Like I was expecting that, so I didn't really see the faces. Or honestly, I tuned out a lot of what they were saying. But I really liked the aftermath of it and like how like Bronwyn started the conversation of like, well, shit, I'm looking in a mirror watching this. Like, I can't blame you all. Like, I liked that aspect. But I think I just got too caught up on like, this isn't a play. This play isn't about us. It's not a play.
And that's
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
She was like, I hated that play. And I was like, but their faces. Like watching them receive it was incredible.
I need to rewatch it.
It was so good. But the play itself, I do get what you mean. Like, I wish it was a play and not a speech and interpretive dance.
Slam poetry. That's really well. Yeah, it was
really funny.
It was like a mishmash of slam poetry versus and a clinical assessment. I'm like,
yes. Am I at an intake right now?
Interesting.
Like what? This isn't a play. I came to see kinky boots. Okay, I didn't fucking come to see like an intake form. Okay.
It was like an intake. You're right. You're so right. Which again is like why I loved it, but also I can completely see how that would not have been entertaining.
Yeah,
for sure.
I see your side too, for sure.
So funny. Yeah, I do. I will say though, like by the time this play is happening, I also though, as a watcher of the show, was done with Grease. I'm done with these fights. We've been fighting about the same thing for 3 episodes. It's the same thing over and over and over again. So like I do get being exhausted by it at that point.
Yeah.
But Bronwyn did a great job starting that conversation. And then I think it just really crumbled after Bronwyn spoke.
Well, do you know why that is? Because Heather.
Everyone was acting crazy. I don't even know.
Here's my interpretation. I saw Meredith and people were like going back and forth about was it authentic, wasn't it? And here's the thing with Meredith. I think she doesn't know how to be authentic. Mm-hmm. And so for me, like she was trying, right? What I saw in my lens was someone who was like trying to get there. And then Heather Gay was like, well, this isn't good enough. And I'm just going to start yelling and bringing up a fight. And it's like what I witnessed is like all of the women were given time and space to have their feelings and to process them. But when it came to Meredith, they did jump down her throat. And I was like, y'all are reinforcing these beliefs that she has that everyone is against her, that people are going to jump on her. Like, just, I think for me, it took what could have been a beautiful moment and dynamic and it just poured water all over it.
You know, that's such a good perspective because, and I'm thinking about it because I'm not going to lie, sometimes when Meredith starts speaking, I'm like, oh God, here we go. But to have literally hammered Heather Gay, no light behind her eyes at Grease, like she was on one to like kind of take this moment and be like, that's not enough. When really this could have been a great moment for maybe a hinge, like a little bit of vulnerability for Meredith, like let her speak, because you can't in that moment, if you give someone the floor, you can't be like, that's not how you should say it. No, it should be this way. If they're actually talking, give a little bit, listen, and then kind of see where can we go with this conversation nicely. Maybe like as she presents it, be like, Meredith, tell me more about that. Like, tell me more about, you have to be very like careful with your words, which I know she's a lawyer. I mean, like, tell me more about that. And also like Meredith, it seems like you've had a really rough year. Like, you know what I mean? Like talk about that a little bit more. Me being Meredith's therapist right now. I'm like, none of the women would do this. Like literally none of the women, the dream. Like Heather Gay is not going to be like, tell me about how your life's going. She's going to be like, Seth cheats on you. Like
They kind of allowed Lisa to do that, though. Like,
they
Lisa,
did.
they gave her a
They
moment
did.
to be vulnerable.
They
They let her
did.
be vulnerable, and they didn't jump down her throat and make her admit more than she wanted to in that moment. They didn't want more from her. They had no expectations, and so she was allowed to have that moment. I totally agree with you guys. It would have been such a better scene. Meredith says, I have to be very careful with our words, and one of them reassured her. Well, Meredith, even if you misspeak, like, we are here to understand you and be your friends. So even if you do use your words wrong, like, it doesn't matter. So use whatever words you can. Like, keep telling us how you're feeling. Like, I don't know. They could have reassured her. They could have asked more calm questions. But you have Heather Gay. It was wild.
Why do you think they were so open to letting Lisa do that and not Meredith? Because they also have issues with Lisa.
I do have a theory.
They want the Meredith payoff.
It has been the Meredith season, so possibly.
Maybe.
My thought is that Lisa did something immediately to draw the women into feeling empathy for her, which was she immediately started to cry. And I think Meredith gave them more of that same more careful with my words. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that it triggered like Heather and some of the other ladies who are just like hell bent on, I think they're self-producing. And I mean, all housewives, I think at this point do, but like
Heather directed this episode.
Yeah.
Literally. But here's what's interesting, because I don't think you guys didn't watch Beverly Hills last night, did you?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So one of the things that happened is that Sutton at dinner, she was starting to cry and get upset about like the whole stuff with Avi because the women aren't letting it go and she clearly doesn't want to talk about it. And she got real angry and real defensive. But Erica Jane stepped in and she said, hold on, Sutton, I forget exactly what she said, but she was like, listen, you don't have to defend yourself. We're here for you. Like, Erica came in with such empathy, which was wild because that's usually not her.
Where did you learn that?
We literally saw her take lessons.
Oh, yeah, we
literally.
Did. Therapist, but she was like, did you understand how they feel? And she's like, I've never thought of that.
Those lessons are working.
They are working. But it was such an exercise to me in what happens when you treat someone's emotions with empathy, care, and consideration, because it allowed Sutton to open up and to say, you know what, you're right. I've been harsh. I've been this, I've been that. And it just led to a completely different outcome. Now, Sutton still got real mad at Kyle and
naturally
Amanda. She definitely yelled at them and she got real sassy. But I think that's, I have my thoughts on that. We won't go into it too much, especially, since you guys didn't watch, we don't need to talk that to death. But
we abstained.
I think that the point is that when we meet people's needs and emotions with genuine empathy and curiosity, the world is our oyster in terms of what we can get from that. And to me, that is super entertaining. I wish it would happen more.
So if Heather's going to self-produce, do it better, Heather. Well, listen to this podcast, take our notes, and meet them with empathy instead of drunken yelling.
Well, and that's not to say, like you said, Sutton still had her reaction. Meredith still could have had a reaction, right? And here, like, I'm not seeing, like, I know Whitney, the way that she has worded things has been awful. But even if Whitney, let's say she didn't call her a pill popper or an alcoholic, like, actually, like, went to her and said, hey, I have some concerns, even if she did it in the most polite, empathetic way, Meredith could still have a reaction, but
Absolutely.
at least you try to approach it differently. And you know what I mean? So it would have been interesting after this not a play if they would have tried to let her speak and tried to just, not turn into what it turned into. If Meredith still had a big reaction and kind of shut down, then they tried. And then they could be like, you know what, Meredith, we've tried. You just shut down. Where do we go from here? What do you want?
Well, and it was frustrating because after she did shut down, she got up and left. And then Mary starts talking to the ladies like, we all see there's a problem. We all see what's going on here. And I was like, okay, well, tell Meredith, you guys need to tell Meredith that you're all worried about her in a way that isn't you guys also yelling at her. So I was happy when she walked back and Mary just said it to her.
Because, they haven't.
Because it was like, finally, someone just said it.
That's actually a good point because they haven't really, we saw Bronwyn and Whitney and Mary have a lunch and they kind of really talked about what's going on with Meredith, these highs and these lows and how they're worried about her. They have not really said that to Meredith in a way of here's what I'm seeing. I know they bring up the plane and Meredith denies it, and it is hard when you just have someone deny it, but it would have been interesting because I kind of am getting lost now. Okay, so what? I know there's this plane incident, but what are you upset with Meredith about so much? Because is it because you think she's drinking too much or something? But you all do stuff, so I get lost.
Right. And I think the fact too, the other thing that I forgot to mention is that I think with Meredith, it felt like a abrupt, unasked for intervention.
Yeah.
No one, as someone who's worked in addiction and recovery, participated in interventions, nobody likes that. No one likes that. Doing it impromptu on TV when someone doesn't think that they have an issue, there are barriers of denial here that you can't just hop over on your high horse and expect someone to join you in that. So I think that, with Reunion Part 1, I have to say, I felt Reunion Part 1 was pretty sleepy.
Yeah, it was. Okay, let's celebrate that there has been 6 seasons, 100 plus episodes of the show, but it was 30 minutes of celebrating that. I said, okay, there is some stuff for this season that we can get into.
Well,
so
they're saving that for part 2.
I know they always do that, but here's the thing. We don't need 3 parts. You don't have to drag it on like this. So I thought, yeah, usually part 1s of the reunions are not great. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bored with this one. I still thought anytime I watch a reunion though, I'm like, God damn it, I need 24-hour footage on these ladies. Cause with the Meredith and the Whitney of it all, BravoCon, and they have such different versions of what happened. Meredith is you came up to me and apologized and said you want to be friends and you took everything back that you said. And Whitney's that's not what happened. Where I'm I feel like there's somewhere in between, right? I don't think Whitney took back everything she said, but I do also think with the Housewives, and this kind of what happens when you have multiple seasons of a Housewives show, and that's why sometimes the first couple seasons are so good, but I do kind of think some of them get into what's said on camera. I don't mean off camera. I do think that kind of stuff happens, but I don't think Meredith or Whitney are telling the entire truth on both sides when it comes to this alleged Bravo conversation.
Well, I don't think either of them are reliable narrators. Meredith to me is not a reliable narrator because the one thing I wrote in my notes is here's one thing I can tell you for sure. So Meredith's entire storyline this season has been these misunderstandings. That's her entire storyline. Yeah. And when you have something like that continues to crop up for you, you are a huge part of the problem. I mean, listen, humans, we are all part of our own problem, just as being human beings, right? We get in our own way. We do dumb shit. So there's a part of that that's just being human. But I feel that for them in particular, for Meredith, it's she wants to blame everybody else instead of looking at what her role in all of this is. And until we do that, nothing is going to change. So for me with Meredith, it's you either need to engage or disengage, but pick a fucking lane and then choose one because this is your job. This is a job.
Yeah.
I guess we're going to see, where it leaves off is that Angie reveals, with her silly scroll that Lisa's the one behind whatever.
Did they even specifically say what this trolling that
No.
happened to Angie has been?
Not this episode. I think they will.
I'm
next.
are we I don't know why I should be horny for this because I don't even know what trolling was done.
I will say with this reunion though, I did love Lisa does not know how to go against Bronwyn. Bronwyn kept her cool. Bronwyn was not going to let Lisa get anything. And as soon as Lisa started talking, Bronwyn came with her own side and was like, no, this is what was happening. And I loved that because Lisa does not know how to handle her. And I'm not saying Bronwyn is always right. And I'm not saying Bronwyn doesn't do shit. Bronwyn's the first one to say that she does do shit, which I love. And so
I love that too.
I loved watching them because they showed footage of Lisa talking shit about Todd at BravoCon, which I don't care. Honestly, let's all talk shit. But the way that Lisa presents it as, that, it shouldn't hurt Bronwyn. When the person that took that video came out and said, just so everyone knows, Lisa was talking about that all on her own. No one asked her about that. She took the moment to say all that.
I was dying at that interaction when then she's like, I said you never talk about my family. And she goes, oh, is that why you said Todd was fat and had a small dick? I was just...
I was like, yes, Bronwyn, thank you.
Later in the episode, they're talking about Lisa's work she's had done. And she gives a non-answer that I don't think is true at all. But whatever, I love her truth for her. And Lisa just goes, I never shame anyone for the way they look. And Bronwyn just immediately goes, except for my husband who's fat and has a small dick. And I was like,
also, Lisa has definitely shamed other people before. So that is insane, Lisa, to say.
Here's the thing, Lisa, this is classic projection because one of the things that I wrote, and I will stand 10 toes down on this, is that I don't like the way that she talked about Todd. Now, did Todd say that he wouldn't piss on her if she was on fire? Yeah, that's egregious. But I'm not of the belief that the things that I do not because of things that other people are doing, but sometimes that's how people live their life. And I was like, to me, the Bravo fandom, where's the outrage with Lisa, body shaming Todd? And it's oh, well, he's a man and he's unlikable, so no one cared.
Unfortunately,
but it's still
he sucks.
Not okay. He does suck, but it's that's so gross. To me, it makes Lisa look bad. You're just gonna pander to these fans talking about Todd's dick. It's have some decorum and respect, not only for him, but for yourself. But my theory is that Lisa, she talks about people like that because that's how she talks about herself. If this is what she's willing to say about Todd.
I hate that.
I know, because it humanizes her and it makes it sad, but I just think she has really bad self-esteem.
I also think it's sad, but I also do think she wanted to embarrass Todd and she wanted to embarrass Bronwyn. I think a part of it also is that, I think it's a mixture of how she feels about herself. Also, any moment that she can take to embarrass other people, because I think she feels a lot like that.
Right.
I even know for me, sometimes I can be my worst self if I feel embarrassed. Embarrassed is almost that shame feeling is a real big feeling.
I'm a terrorist.
And so being able to know, but I've been able to recognize that, and I have to do the damn work, which is so annoying. I just want to be a cunt all the time. But
because that's easier and it's funner. By the way,
it is.
It's so much fun.
I have to do the work, and so Lisa has definitely not recognized that. So, and I thought it was so. I was yelling at my TV when they try to say that her and Meredith don't tag team together. Y'all have been a tag team this whole season. I'm not saying Heather doesn't have her own, but not you trying to sit on my damn couch and say we don't tag team. You guys are whispering this whole reunion. At one point, Meredith said, "Did she bring?" I was confused. She was like, "Did they say this or do I need to bring this up?" Yeah,
they were
actively scheming and then being and then Meredith was like, well, I can't have a thought or a feeling. And it's
I hate when she does that.
The martyrdom to me is so insane.
I guess I can't speak.
Right. And it's that is where she loses me. And that's where I don't want Lisa on my screen. Because as Judge Judy would say, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. You're literally sitting here scheming and then trying to gaslight everyone and be like, no, we're not. And I'm just I have no time for this. My time is valuable and you're wasting it. And I don't like it.
Can I take us back for a second? Because I
Yes.
remembered something that absolutely was the read of a century was when they were talking about the Todd and her at BravoCon saying, body shaming him. Bronwyn said, how sad that like at this place where people are surrounding you with love, you have to like attack other people.
Boom.
Damn, Bronwyn.
Boom.
Yeah, again, Lisa does not know how to handle her.
So good at this.
No,
She's so
she is.
Bronwyn
Also,
could
hearing
get in your
Bronwyn
head.
uncensored, I love when she cusses. It's great. She cusses really well.
She uses it appropriately.
She does.
It's so funny, Brady, you bring that up because Bronwyn's like her very metered tone and staying reasonable and rational and using logic. It makes Lisa, her brain explode, and it is hilarious to watch.
It shuts down. It's literally like, I am rebooting. Don't know where to go.
I would like to also shit on Lisa again for something else. What the fuck was up with that picture of her with Ben Affleck from 10 years ago? What? Do you expect me to believe you were actually at an event with Ben and Blake and you have no recent photos of you with Ben or Blake? Guys, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining because that's such bullshit. I know if she was in the vicinity of Blake or Ben in this current day, there would be photos. Do not lie.
Duh.
It's so obnoxious. And it's so annoying that Andy looked at the photos and goes, that one kind of seems long ago. And then we just let it go. It's like hold their feet to the fire a little bit more.
You know, that's the thing. I feel as we get more into his friendships with these housewives and the longer they're OGs, the less he holds their feet to the fire.
Yes.
And
it's bad.
Here's the thing. I like Andy. I know people have a lot of different feelings about him. I think he's created something really great. I find him funny. You know, I appreciate his contribution, but at a point, I just think he's a little bit impaired and it leads us to not get some of the stuff that we want to get. And speaking of that, I'm interested to see, we do get a preview of Andy asking Mary about the allegations based on the new docuseries. And I'm wondering how hard, or is it just like, will he have just said, well, what do you think about this? And then let it go.
I mean, I think that's it. Because
we saw that a lot this episode where he would ask a question, they would give kind of a bullshit answer, and then he'd just move on to the next one.
Well, and I do have to say, it is a hard thing to navigate because you also can't push too much because you do want these women on the show. So it is like, it is really easy for me to sit on my couch and be like, he should have asked this. He should have did this. I would have asked about this. However, it is a hard thing to navigate because you don't want to push too much. And then Lisa Barlow, you know what I mean? Like leaves the stage or doesn't come back because they want her on the show. So I get that. But I also do think he could push more.
And it's also, yes, but you can't get blood from a stone. And I think sometimes Andy, he'll give up too easily, like in the face of Elisa. Whereas Bronwyn, no, she's clocked in, honey. She's like, no, we're not letting her get away with this. And so I almost wish like there was Bronwyn's level of attentiveness to things and approach to things coming from that Andy Cohen piece. But like you said, I mean, we can't have it all. And it's easy to be an armchair quarterback on Monday morning. So
I do wonder what it would look like, because the way you were talking about navigating that Grease conversation and like just the way your mindset is as a mental health professional, like it would be interesting if they had, okay, maybe I'm just trying to figure out how the production can manipulate the women, but like, what if there was someone who could kind of guide Andy on how to push further in a way that would open them up? You know what I mean? It would be nice if they.
I could do that.
Like put me behind the cameras with it.
Put me in, coach. I'm fucking ready, dude. You would. If I was in charge of that, we would get every last ounce of these women's souls.
Because there's a way to get the information. It's just tough to navigate, especially for a character like Andy. So if he had a support person in his ear, that would be incredible.
Well, and then he could try, and if the women shut it down, fine, you tried. Because even, you know what I mean? Like, there could be a point where, you know, again, test the water, see where it goes. And then if you're getting nowhere, okay, let's go back to something
let Melissa
else.
come up with a new game plan on how to approach it. And then he can approach it later and we can edit it all together. Peacock, fucking hire me. God damn.
We have all these ideas.
So many ideas.
So many ideas. And, you know, it's funny that you bring that up because as the podcast is coming to a close here, one of the things that, maybe I'll end on is that, Lyndsay, you just mentioned, kind of asking a question and then looking at body language and noticing what's going on and using your skills. Well, that's something that Nick Viall and Natalie Joy most certainly didn't do with Austen Kroll. And I've talked about this on my Instagram. I've talked about it on the pod. But basically, for those who don't know what's happening, is that at this point, weeks ago, they asked Austen a series of the most odd and inappropriate questions that led me to ask, are you a robot or are you just terrible at this? And so what we're seeing currently is that Nick and Natalie are completely ignoring the backlash. They've had absolutely nothing to say, nothing, didn't even address it or acknowledge it. And so, I just wanted to see your thoughts about that.
I have lots of thoughts. First of all, anytime I have a space to shit on Nick Viall, I fucking will. So here we go. First of all, Nick, you're not a fucking therapist. Stop trying to pretend you're one. You do this. Ever since you started a podcast, which men with podcasts, white men with podcasts, it has to be stopped. Okay.
What?
I'm sorry. I know the gay men are fine. I'm so sorry. Nick Viall, you have to stop.
Or be gay.
Or be gay.
Or be gay. Secondly, this podcast, y'all, if you listen to it, the interview was kind of fine. This question that Natalie came about with his sister came out of nowhere. They were talking about reality TV and like production and how that goes and like Austen navigating that. Cut to Natalie being like, so I just found out that your sister had the most traumatic death and you were there and your family, like what cliff was it? Like
I heard your sister fell off a cliff.
Yeah, like out of nowhere. Like this shift. And I was just like, and Austen is notably uncomfortable. He was like, oh, wow, this took a turn. He was shaking his leg because guess what? On Southern Charm, he was able to tell his story on his own terms in a safe environment. I'm sorry, but if you wanted to ask these questions, it should have been talked about beforehand of like, yes. Austen, are there any topics you don't want to talk about? They did not do that.
Hey, we just found this out about, your family history. Do you mind if we talk about it?
Yes.
You get consent for things like
and
that.
And she asked like, if this is uncomfortable, let me know. But in that moment, you're already like trapped in the space. He's not going to say that. Lastly,
and here's the thing. I'm sorry, Lyndsay. She said, you don't have to answer this, but, and then she asked a question.
Yes.
That's not language that says you don't have to answer this. I'm sorry. Please continue.
No, you're fine. My last statement is like, we are all humans and we make mistakes. And sometimes, like, especially if you're a podcast, sometimes you say things wrong. Sometimes it is these moments which Nick fucking Viall, you preach on your podcast. People need to take accountabilities. Oh, I watch these Bravo shows. He doesn't watch these shows. He does not watch them. He knows nothing. And he's all about other people like speaking and taking accountability. I'm sorry, you're silent. Why don't you have a moment where like, oh man, I, as a human, I really messed up. I should not have taken the conversation there. Austen, I'm so sorry if I made you uncomfortable. No, instead they're ignoring it because they're garbage humans. And I don't like to say that, but you are, because in a moment, apologize. I have said shit before where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or I didn't mean it that way. Apologize. But no, you don't think you're in the wrong. And so like it may not seem like a big deal, but in these moments, if you're a podcaster, it is actually more huge and vulnerable to just fess up to your mistakes. But you actually have to have empathy and actually have to do that. And those motherfuckers don't have empathy. There's not an empathetic goddamn bone in his body or Natalie's body. Thank you so much.
Wow, Lyndsay. Oh, claps. Now that was the play we should have seen at the end of.
I gave you theater. I gave you
theater. In all seriousness, though, I understand why you're so upset. And I personally feel the same way, because what I don't like, and what you've adeptly pointed out, is that Nick fancies himself a therapist, but then he doesn't have the behaviors. Well, he's not a therapist, but then he also doesn't have the behaviors to back anything up. So basically, everything he preaches is incongruent with what he's doing. For you to have this huge platform, which, by the way, Nick was given a platform. He didn't earn it. He didn't work for it. He was given a platform. And his platform has also blown up so much because of the Bravo fandom that you're now shitting on.
by doing, you know what I mean? Like he blew up during the scandal of it all because like his podcast and people coming on his podcast and him having all these takes about scandal. And so then for him to, he gets Bravo people all the time, but it's so annoying with like what he does with these interviews. I'm not saying he's never had a great interview. Like there are some interviews that I think Bronwyn was on that was a pretty good one. Like I'm not saying that, but like
yeah, but she does all the work.
That's true.
The work. That's why
in these moments, just own to your mistakes. That's all. But they're going to ignore it, and that to me, where I'm just like, okay, but you blew up, Nick, because of the Bravo fandoms. For you now to just like shit on it, which the Bravo fandom's not perfect, like trust me. But for you to now like just shit on it and not say anything at all.
I just think it speaks so much about our character, what we do when we make a mistake.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
And I think like for me is that people came to my Instagram and they were like, cancel them. And I was like, well, I don't think we need to cancel anybody. I think let's give them the opportunity for growth and to take accountability. And the woman, she goes, that's a very reasonable response. You must be a therapist or something. And so like, I don't feel the need to cancel people. But for me at the same time right now, the lack of acknowledgement, any lack of accountability, that tells me where I'm going to put my time in the future. And it's not going to be with that podcast in any way, shape, or form.
Oh yeah, I've stopped recapping his podcast like a while ago. And then this like, and obviously y'all, if you still want to listen to his podcast, that's fine. Like, and people still are going to. And that's the thing is they're not apologizing. Because they can just move on and they're still going to get listeners, which, again, do what you will. I just think like this could have been a really interesting moment and look, I don't like to own up to my mistakes. It's not fun sometimes. You know what I mean? Like it's hard.
It's never fun to be like, I was an asshole. I fucked up. That's never fun. Yeah. But we need to do it for our character and our betterment and our own development. And
when I went on my rant earlier, I was talking about like they don't have empathy. I actually had to think like, there is empathy in them somewhere. So it would have been really, awesome to see Natalie say like, because I don't even think it was any like bad intent. I almost think Natalie just kind of like, when you're watching these shows at home, you might have this thought of like, oh my gosh, like what happened? Like what are what are all the details? But when you have that person in front of you, that is a real human. I think she got like, that was taken away and she thought she was just like, chilling on her couch, just like saying like whatever all she could say. So in this moment, like you see the response, like, oh man, that's not what I intended. Like, I really need to think like how I talk to people and I need to apologize for that. Cause I also know like it triggered a lot of people too, like, especially like people who have lost siblings, cause that's a really hard thing to navigate. And like, it's not looked at as like always like a serious thing. Like when it just,
it's rarely looked at as like a serious thing. And here's what's wild is that I'm going to be mindful of how I discuss this. I had a client who tragically lost a brother in a very tragic public manner. And working with her helped me to understand that sibling loss survivors are completely ignored. They're just pushed to the side. Their experiences aren't valued or discussed. And so I've had a lot of survivors reach out to me and thank me for, speaking on it. And I think that's why we're angry, right? Because for Austen, who is a sibling loss survivor, to see someone get treated in that moment with such lack of care and concern, it's not okay. As a therapist, when I'm doing an assessment and people fill out all that paperwork, I'm not just like, they don't just come into the room and I'm like, so tell me about the worst trauma of your life. There's nuance, there's like a dance, there's a little, give and take. And I think the lack of that just in general, it says either you're just not good at this, you're a lazy interviewer, you don't care enough to make changes, whatever it is, your actions hurt people. And that is what I don't like.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say about this, Nick in that interview too, he just has no concept of anything because he was like, man, like I think about my life and I'm really glad I've never been through something like that. Cool, bro. Glad you haven't had it either. Like, can you imagine, like, you're talking to someone about that? Like, first of all, they bring it up. And they're like, damn, I'm glad that didn't happen to me. Cool.
Damn, I'm glad that fucked up shit hasn't happened in my life.
Yeah. So it's just like again.
It's like, man, I love my sister. I'm glad she's still here. Like, just so
bizarre.
Ignorant.
It was
so ignorant.
So ignorant. And it does not surprise me. And again, y'all, do not hold your breath. This isn't the first like tidbit that Nick and Natalie have gotten into. They never take accountability because they do not think they are wrong. And it even shows you that like they're the type of people that they can't even like fake an apology. You know what I mean? Like there's some people who are just like, oh shit, like they can't even do that because they're awful.
Like they're not even trying to people please here. Like that is wild. They don't give a shit about what other people think. So listen, I say everyone listening to this, I'm a big proponent of putting my time and energy into things that serve me. That's what I'm going to say. And I encourage you to do the same. If you like the Viall Files, great. If you listen to it, no problem. This is, do what works best for you. But my behaviors stand with people who I advocate for. Yeah. And I stand with sibling loss survivors and trauma survivors and all of that who deserve better. So,
yeah. And also know if that podcast made you upset, you have the right to be upset. And that I'm sorry that them not apologizing also probably hurts too. And just, you can feel the feels when it comes to this because it is I've seen some comments like people are making this a bigger deal than what it is. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like this is a big deal because they're not taking any moment to acknowledge it. And that even stings a little bit more. So,
yeah. And I don't tolerate people gaslighting how other people feel, like people who are like, this is not a big deal. And it's like, well, it is to people who've been traumatized. So maybe speak on behalf of yourself and not anybody else, please.
And I even listened to your podcast. Was it Caitlin? Is that her name?
Yeah.
I even liked her because she was even someone who said that she has never really been the person to like shit on Nick Viall where like I have. But she was like, Nick Viall is always, I'll listen to his stuff sometimes. Like I've never really like thought about him that much or really, thought he was like that bad. And she even was like, but this, you know what I mean? So even the people who, because some people were like, oh, it's just people who don't like Nick. I'm like, no, it's like he has hit all markets with this.
He's pissed everyone off.
He has. Yes. You're right. He has pissed off every market. Kudos, Nick. Way to go.
There you go.
But thank you so much for being here. I feel like this conversation lasted 12 seconds.
Yes, it went by so fast.
I looked at the timer and I was like, you said we're getting to the end. And I was like, what do you mean the end?
We just started.
I'm not even close to finished.
Well, no, in all sincerity, though, is there anything before we wrap up, anything that y'all wanted to say that we didn't get to talk about that you wanted to outline? Any last thoughts?
Not that I got to talk about Salt Lake City and I got to shit on Nick Viall. Like, happy Friday. Perfect. Happy Friday to me. I'm good. But seriously, thank you so much for having us on. We'll definitely have you on Recap Rodeo again because our
listeners love some Melissa.
Literally, let us tell you. Oh, yeah. Your highest number downloads.
I missed from my sisters who were like, I love when Melissa's on. And I'm like, thanks, sis.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We just...
That's so
when you
sweet.
get into this podcasting space, it's always like, just like interesting, who you have on and who you vibe with. And Brady and I have been very lucky. Like, we have you and Mandy and so many other guests that we just like love so much that, so we love you. And we're always happy to come on for the Bish Nation.
Yes.
Well, you guys have to be regulars, number one. And number two, the other thing I love about us is like, we all have this little group now that it's like, I love that my friends are friends, that I'm like, oh my God, I love that so much.
Yes.
So let everybody know, please. First of all, Recap Rodeo is so good. The show is so funny. It's amazing. So tell everybody, A, what you're covering right now, and B, where they can find you.
Okay, people, Bish Nation, we are currently covering, Salt Lake City Until It Ends, Vanderpump Rules, RuPaul's Drag Race for my gays and gay lovers out there. Yes. We cover RuPaul's Drag Race, Potomac, Sister Wives. We run the gambit. So our Tuesday episodes right now, we cover some pop culture news. We talk about our lives a little bit. We talk about a few of the shows. And then our Thursday episodes, we started doing 2 a week. And we're going to do 2 a week for however long we want to until we decide we don't, because guess what? It's our show, not yours.
Bloop.
I stole that from something, I think. But
Bloop.
Bloop for sure. But yes, check us out on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We are Recap Rodeo. You can follow us on Instagram at Recap Rodeo. Find us anywhere podcasts can be found.
There you go. Please definitely give them a follow, give them a support, because I'm so sick of like shitty people having the hugest platforms and all the support.
Yeah,
Let's
we
give
need all of Nick Viall's
good
listeners.
people.
Yeah, come over to us.
Come to the dark side.
We're apologizing all the time for the shit that we say.
That's the other thing I was thinking about during that Nick Viall conversation is like the way we finish a podcast. And Lyndsay is just the most caring human in the world. She thinks about every single thing that was said and makes sure that like nothing terrible is in there. Because I can say some things sometimes. So like I don't know. It's just wild that they don't even have that care. But yeah, we're a caring podcast.
We are. We all like, I'll overthink 100 million times. I'm like, well, I said that, should I not have, or whatever. And so, I almost wish that I had that not giving a shit.
Same.
So you need a Brady.
Yeah. I wish I had the gumption sometimes to just not overthink. Like, I do think you have to find that balance, because sometimes I need Brady to be like, Lyndsay, no one in their mind would like take it that way. Good Lord. But I also and then also on the other side, I'm like, Brady will be like, oh yeah, I didn't think of it that way. So I think you need that. I don't think Nick and Natalie have that.
I wanted to put diarrhea in the title of an episode, and Lyndsay was like, I don't think people want diarrhea in the title of an episode.
They don't.
Really?
They don't. She's right.
Yes.
What was it? No perfect nips, no diarrhea is what I wanted the episode to be called.
Yeah. Find out why we did say that in the episode. But yeah,
it is a quote from the episode.
Okay, tune in to find out where that came from, because that's the thing I love about Brady is like, you never know what is going to come out of your mouth.
No.
And it's always so funny. But like, it's just an adventure that we all love.
And I think Lyndsay might have said that one. I mean, Lyndsay
I do.
Lyndsay comes in with the most insane things sometimes that I'm just like, God, I love you, friend.
I also you will like giggle when you say yours. Mine, I'll just say it, and then like we both realize like how insane it is. Or like when I actually, if you get me talking about like plays that aren't a play or Nick Viall, you're going to see a different side of me. Like that.
Clearly.
But
really? Lindsay was standing on business. I was like, this is the maddest I've ever seen you.
I was scared.
Men.
But for everybody listening, thank you so much for your time, your energy, your resources. We appreciate that you spend them with us. And please don't forget to check out Your Bish Therapist on Instagram, because Instagram is actually removing my followers. That's a whole other thing.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking Meta.
I'm like, Dad, is that you? Do you work for Meta? Dad,
Dad. Oh shit.
But anyway, so please, if you could go over and give me a follow, I'd appreciate that. And, again, 2026 is here and trolls are out. So please, if you could give a 5-star review, would greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for listening. We love you all so much. Love to you and yours. Ta-ta for now.
Bye.
Disclaimer. Posts are not intended to diagnose, treat, or provide medical advice. Your Bish Therapist is for entertainment and informational purposes only. The podcast, my opinions, and posts are my own and not associated with past or present employers, any organizations, Bravo TV, Greyheart Productions, or any other television network. The information in YBT podcast and on its social media is provided for general informational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat. Please do not act or refrain from acting based on anything you read, see, or hear on YBT podcast or associated social media. Communicating with YBT via email and or social media does not form a therapeutic alliance. Melissa, operator of YBT, is unable to provide any therapeutic advice, treatment, or feedback.